Welcome back. In this morning's A Veteran's Voice, we return you to the war in the Pacific. Thomas Poore enlisted in the Navy in January of 1943 with an interest in radio technology. It was a desire that put him front and center for a possible U.S. invasion of Japan at the end of World War II.
That's the year I was born, 1925.
1920. So you're in here then, huh?
Yeah.
Thomas Poore was born to communicate.
Probably not.
Let me see.
When he joined the Navy in January of 1944, he wanted to pursue a high-tech career.
Radio was expanded to radar, sonar, scrambling systems, all kinds of things.
When he completed radio school, he was shipped out to Hawaii for his first assignment aboard the recently retrofitted USS Mount Olympus.
It was like a toy box. It's got all the newest stuff there is. On board ship, you had a whole room full of this stuff, and it was huge.
The command ship was damaged while directing ground forces during the Battle of Leyte Gulf by a kamikaze plane.
I think they lost some antennas and things like that. And our ship had a massive bunch of antennas on it.
The Olympus was finally ready to set sail for the Philippines in May of 1945 when it suffered another attack by a U.S. ship. Thomas says 2 U.S. task forces were approaching each other when an oil tanker from one ran into his ship.
Out in the middle of nowhere, just egos involved. Egos of Admiral Halsey's group that was headed east and we were headed west. There was a floating dry dock called the Ajax, and they repaired the sections that had been damaged.
When they finally reached Manila, the U.S. was preparing for an invasion of the Japanese mainland, a plan that would have resulted in thousands of casualties on both sides. But Thomas said the crew was loose, suntanning on the deck, just waiting for that next mission.
At that time, you don't worry about any of this stuff.
You weren't thinking about what
No.
if we have to go and what if we really have to do this?
No.
The invasion never happened. 2 atomic bombs ended the war, and the 3rd Amphibious Force, led by the Mount Olympus, sailed into Tokyo Bay to witness the surrender by the Japanese.
Where are you?
Out here.
Oh, you're over there on that ship.
I'm on the bridge of that
Top right
ship,
corner. There you go.
right there.
That's the Olympus?
That's the Mount Olympus.
Oh, wow.
Thomas still has the letters he wrote to his family on that day, with special postal markings to commemorate the historic event.
This one's to my brother,
To your brother Harry, is it?
who has just gotten into the Navy.
And there were other moments Thomas remembers, like sitting in on a game of bridge with Admiral Richard Byrd, who would later take over the Mount Olympus for his Antarctic expedition. And while in post-war Japan, he traded a radio for a couple motorcycles.
So these motorcycles weren't being used, and so they needed to be used. We helped them be used.
It's a story that would get revved up for years during some of his reunions.
Our borrowing the motorcycles.
Borrowing the motorcycles.
Yes, we just didn't return them.
You can still find Thomas at Communication Enterprises downtown, a company he founded nearly 70 years ago, unless it's a Wednesday, when the 93-year-old radio tech is chatting with friends out on the golf course.
That's right. Still plays a pretty good game of golf, too.
I love that.
That's right. We want to tell your veteran's story. Send us information on someone who served, a picture, some basic information. Or perhaps does your veteran need a landscaping makeover at their home? Jay's Garden Works standing by to help out a member of our local military clean up their landscaping around the house. Send us your nominations simply to mike@kero.com, and you can see a veteran's voice on our website, turnto23.com. Click on A Veteran's Voice.